Disney has had Star Wars for over a decade. Billions of dollars, entire studios, the biggest IP on the planet. And a fan film just did something with Darth Vader's character that Disney had never once pulled off. Let me show you why. Here's the thing people are sleeping on with this film, and it's the timing. Not timing of release, but the timing of the story. This isn't Vader fully formed, iconic, breathing his way through the galaxy like he's been doing this for 20 years. This is 8 months. 8 months after Mustafar. For context, that's not even a full school year. That's barely enough time to recover from a bad breakup, let alone losing a duel to your mentor, getting burned alive, losing your wife, losing your unborn kids as far as he knows, and getting rebuilt as a machine by the guy who orchestrated the whole thing. That wound is not healed. It's not even scarred over. It's still wide open. And where does the Empire send him on a mission? Naboo. Padme's home planet. Walking distance from her tomb. And sit with that for just a second. Out of every planet on the galaxy, every purge mission they could hand him, they send the guy who's 8 months removed from her death to the one place saturated with her memory. That's not a random assignment. It's either the cruelest possible test the Emperor can ever run on him, or it's the writers making a very deliberate choice about what kind of story they wanted to tell. Either way, it's doing narrative work before even a single lightsaber ignites. And you can see that unhealed wound in real time, because this film does something almost nobody does with Vader. It treats the suit itself as a character detail, not just a costume that you put on the actor. I mean, let's just start with the walk. It's not the confident, terrifying glide that you see in the original trilogy, or even Rogue One when he's just aura farming in the hallway. That iconic march is nowhere to be seen. Rather, it's replaced with something stiff. Something uneven that almost even looks like it's animated poorly, but it's not. There's hesitation in it. And that's the whole point. This is a man who is still learning how to operate a body that isn't even his anymore. He lost his actual legs, his actual arms, most of what made him physically him. And he got handed cybernetics instead in a giant clunky suit that's entirely uncomfortable and can't even breathe using his own lungs. Nobody hands you new limbs and you're instantly fluid in them. There's a learning curve to walking on machinery, to gripping a lightsaber with a mechanical hand and trusting it won't slip, to trusting your own balance when half your body is servos and plating instead of muscles and bone. This film lets you see that learning curve is still in progress. Now the breathing, you know it's labored the entire time. Obviously he has the iconic sound. But it's different. And I want to be clear, it's not just ambient sound designed to say, oh yeah, he's still Darth Vader, he's got the mask. No, it's him. It's his lungs. It's what's left of his lungs, burned and scarred, and now dependent on a machine to do the one thing the human body's supposed to do without even thinking about it. Every breath you hear is a body that used to work effortlessly and now doesn't. It's not atmosphere. It's a disability being shown and dramatized in real time. It's relentlessly specific because it never gives up, never gives him or you a break from it. And then there's the Force vision the second he drops down into that tomb. And that's the crack, where the metaphorical mask, quite literally and figuratively, doesn't hold. All that mechanical stiffness, all that controlled breathing, and one flicker of a vision, one flicker of a literal flame, and you can see everything underneath start to break through. And you know, without a doubt, seeing this scene, whoever's behind this knows his trauma, knows his fears, because the first thing that they do is lure him into a place where he literally has to stand inches away from his dead wife, surrounded now by flames, and then see visions of the life that used to be his. It really paints the picture. The suit is a costume. It's not a piece of armor. It's not who he is. He's just stuck in the shell of a monster he's not even become yet. And his own body keeps reminding him of that with every single stiff step and every labored breath. Okay, this is the scene. This is the whole episode. If you remember one thing from this, it's this fight scene. Vader doesn't walk in and start swinging a lightsaber like some slasher villain just here to rack up a body count. If you watch, the first thing he does, he sits there and watches. He doesn't participate, he just stands there and profiles the group before he even gets engaged. And that pause is doing more character work than the entire fight scene in the entire franchise. The first thing that he does when he actually gets engaged, he doesn't draw his lightsaber. He just starts flicking around the little ones, starts throwing the Padawans into poles and getting them out of the way. And then he goes after the strongest fighter in the group. Instead of just charging in to fight him directly, he starts baiting him. He weaponizes his own rage and his pride. and he gets him to break formation and come at Vader alone, where his strength doesn't matter anymore because he's cut off from all of his support. It's not brute force, it's quite literally manipulation. And what does he do next? Well, he just separates him from his master, of course, deliberately. It's not just chaos, it's not a lucky break in the fight. It's a former Jedi who knows exactly how the Master-Padawan training bond works because he lived it himself under Obi-Wan. He knows the psychological weight of that bond when he lost Qui-Gon, and he knows precisely how to sever it to maximize that damage, both physically separating them and breaking whatever confidence that Padawan drew from having his master nearby. And as if he's not trying to break him psychologically enough, what does he do? He picks up the Padawan's own lightsaber with the Force and stabs his master in front of him. If you're trying to break somebody's psyche, I can't really come up with a better way. And on top of that, he's still watching everybody else in the group too. Who needs to be overpowered head on because they don't have the raw strength to resist it? Who's strong enough to be overpowering them directly? Either isolate them, exhaust them, turn the group against itself, just let the troopers do their work. He's just running a live tactical assessment in the middle of a lightsaber fight, sorting every opportunity into solve with force, solve with strategy, or just beat him up. This is not a monster stomping through fodder. This is Anakin's tactical, strategic Jedi brain, fully intact, completely undiminished, but just pointed in a different direction. Young Anakin used to just run headfirst into whatever conflict he could find, but this is different. Vader has to be calculated. He can't just run in and use raw strength and raw capabilities to overcome his enemies anymore. And that's the actual horror of this scene. It's a smarter horror than just blood and gore could ever be. The skill didn't disappear when he fell, only in the intent behind it. He's not fighting like a machine. He's just fighting like a Jedi who knows how the Jedi think, because he still is one. He's just not as physically capable as one. And then to top it all off, as if he's not traumatized enough by this whole thing, he can't even fight Padawans properly because he's already mutilated. He's in his own dead wife's tomb, on her home planet, being reminded of all of his trauma staring Jedi directly in the face, and who shows up but the one that started it all? Mace Windu. And what could possibly make this whole thing worse? He still believes this is the man that betrayed him. Anakin or Vader, doesn't matter which character you look at, Windu is the one who took everything from him in his eyes. No, not the Emperor. He doesn't know the treachery that the Emperor did. No. In his eyes, Windu was the one who was going to murder his master in cold blood, who was taking away the ability for him to save his wife, who brought the Jedi to the Chancellor to overthrow him, who, despite it all, he thought was the one problem he would never have to deal with again. He thought Sidious killed him when he threw him out the window. And now, of course, despite everything else, Windu's standing right in front of him. Now, he knows Anakin. He knows his plays. He knows exactly who he is because he's not Vader yet. He's just on the way to being Vader. And so what does he do? He toys with him. He messes with him. And he takes away the one edge that he has, the Force. I mean, look at it. Vader goes to throw him across the room just like any of the other Padawans, and he doesn't even flinch. Right after Windu threw him into a pole too, mind you. I mean, think about it. There really couldn't be anything more disrespectful than the person who took everything from you shows up at the tomb of your dead wife and then throws you around like it's nothing, and you can't even do anything. You just have to sit there and stare at him. And then, on top of that, he hits him with a "your mama" joke.
And your mother will serve as yours.
And that, right there, is why Disney was never, ever going to make this. There's a hard tone ceiling on Disney+. Everything with the Star Wars name on it now has a clear PG-13 bar at the absolute darkest. And realistically, stay a lot softer than that because there's a toy aisle and a theme park land and a merchandising calendar riding on every single frame of whatever they produce. This film isn't that. It's gruesome. It's dark. It really hones back to the ways that corporate Star Wars really is never allowed to risk. But it's bigger than just the violence. Disney treats Vader as an icon, a brand asset, a silhouette on a poster, a voice you put in a trailer to make people cheer. Official Star Wars needs Vader to stay, well, Vader. Cool, controlled, intimidating, marketable, and concise.
You agreed to stay away! I lied.
This film treats him as a man, mid-collapse, mid-darkness, and just lets him be. Just lets him be uncomfortable. Lets him be who he is. Lets him be clumsy. And it lets him be haunted. Frankly, it even lets him be kind of pathetic, to be fair. And that vulnerability is exactly what makes The Menace land so much harder. A fan film has nothing to protect There's no brand safety team, there's no toy line tie-in, there's no shareholder call to justify the budget. It's an open-ended love letter to the character, to the film, to the franchise. And that's exactly why it can go somewhere the official stuff legally and culturally never can. And realistically, that's the part that really gets me. This wasn't made with a Disney budget. It wasn't made with a ginormous studio, a writer's room, or a fantastic marketing department. It was made by a guy funding it off YouTube ad revenue and selling replica lightsabers on the side. Like, that's it. That's the budget. And still, through passion and dedicated individuals, he managed to build a more coherent, more human, and more genuinely tragic version of Vader than a $1 trillion media company has managed in over a decade of official Star Wars content. Star Wars Theory didn't just make a good fan film. I mean, he cooked, full stop. This is a masterclass in character writing, and it was funded by toy sabers and pre-roll ads. 10 out of 10. Would absolutely get emotionally wrecked by fan-funded YouTube content again.